Vijay government has had a very narrow save from an almost dictatorial turn. I'm calling it a near miss because of the eventual U-turn. The controversy erupted after the TVK government issued a directive asking schools, colleges, police and district administrations to stop students and youth from participating in protests organized by the likes of Cockroach Janta party and left parties. A subsequent communication to government arts and science colleges made the instruction even more explicit. Principals were told to coordinate with authorities, prevent students from joining such agitations, and submit action taken reports. That order, however, lasted barely a couple of days. It was an order released on the 17th of August, taken back on the 19th. CJP called the order unconstitutional and irrational, while the BJP backed it, arguing that students should focus on their careers instead of political protests. The DMK, meanwhile, accused TVK of hypocrisy, pointing to the party's strong youth-centric election campaign and its appeal to young voters. And that is where this story gets interesting. Because Vijay's TVK did not merely attract young voters. The youth was central to its enigmatic political win in Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. Axis My India data showed TVK getting around 68% support among first-time voters and 59% among voters aged 20 to 29. Well, from the order to the rollback, politics, hypocrisy, or big lessons. Mr. Prabhu joins us right now. He's a DMK spokesperson. Shekhar Vijay joins us. He's a political analyst. And Pentapati Pullarao, who's a political analyst as well. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me at this point. Mr. Shekhar Vijay, and let's just start with you. What does one make out? You know, I mean, a very, very important order. I won't say a very important order, a very controversial order on a very important, sensitive issue. And to think that the TVK government would have come out with something like that. Fair enough that they've retracted it. But in those 3 days, what happened? And eventually the retraction, but the move also stayed. How do you look at this?
Sneha, thank you for having me over and good evening to all my fellow panelists. Now, you know, I was reading about the order and reading that the order was retracted also. I guess it's very ironic. The government which was sworn in by the Gen Z, the government which was, supported by Gen Z, the government was putting an order out against them. But I think better sense prevailed. And the ability to course correct is also a sign of leadership somewhere. So I think in politics, Sneha, the ability to course correct is also a sign of maturity. I would question the original directive, but I wouldn't use a withdrawn order to declare that the entire, TVK government is anti-democratic. The fact that they course-corrected, the fact that they tried to make a change in 3 days and they made it possible, I think better sense prevailed. They also understood what they're doing is wrong and they wanted to course-correct it. See, young people cannot be protected from politics, but they have to be prepared for politics. So the answer is not to tell people, not to tell students which protests they should or shouldn't attend. The answer is to give young people or the young generation enough political awareness to hear every ideology, every question, every party, and then make their own decision. And I think that's the blueprint for our constitution. That's a blueprint for democracy. They can question, they can argue, they can agree to disagree to agree, and that can happen. But it's also important to understand that your voice has to be heard, and that's the true element of democracy. That's a true element of what we are really looking at in terms of what the constitution also says. So I think the CJP government, yes, they did make a mistake in terms of the original order, but they retracted it quickly. And I think that's equally important because how you course correct is also very important in leadership. And they did just that.
You know, Shekhar Vijay, before I go to the others, I also want to ask you this. What do you think happened? Was this a bureaucratic error? Was this inexperience at play? Or was this testing waters? Because whatever said and done, you can't just say, oh, it's a new government and therefore the error happened. How do you look at it? What really happened?
I think it's a mix of all three, Sneha. I think it could be a mix of, it could be a theoretical error, but I think it's also about testing waters. And they've also realized, they've seen what has happened in the past few days. with Gen Z, the way they protested, with the kind of protest how it happened, how it was done so peacefully, and what happened after that. And I think it's a knock for every government, be it the central government, be it the state government, that you cannot take people for granted, right? If they had done this and they waited 3 days for this, I think it's very surprising. And now that they've done it, they've course corrected it. I think it's most important that they actually course corrected and brought it to a different. The conversation is moving to a different direction. But
Right.
I think 3 days they have done some soul searching. They have understood that they've made a mistake. They also were testing the waters, but they also realized that this Gen Z is the one which brought them into power. If you look at it, Sneha, we are talking about Gen Z only after Vijay came into power. Vijay has come into power specifically because the Gen Z voted for him. So if he does not realize where is voting, where he is coming to
68% of
power
the
from,
first time voters is
and
is no
absolutely,
laughable number. In fact, let me just get in Mr. Prabhu to what you are saying. Mr. Prabhu, DMK has called TVK a hypocrite, calling the entire episode of what has happened nothing but a hypocrisy. Why?
Ma'am, it's not a bureaucratic error. It's a conscious policy decision. This TVK government has failed to meet the aspiration of Gen Z people. Change is not always necessary for good. As the Tamil Nadu electorate voter rate is finding out, they are feeling shortchanged. The performance of TVK government so far has been nothing short of disaster. In a democracy, people have every right to protest peacefully for the rights. That is an essential part of democracy. In fact, to look at Tamil Nadu's political history, going back to 1967, students' movement led by Perarinjan Anna, our Dravidian icon and party founder, that was a big catalyst in bringing about the regime change in Tamil Nadu, unseating the mighty Congress then, who was in power, and seating DMK in power. But today, in Tamil Nadu, the terms dissent, protest, and I'll go to the extent of saying merely voicing the opinion on the livelihood issues, on day-to-day public issues that are allergic to TVK government. They want to suppress people's voice
Why are you saying that? What makes you say that?
because they are following in the footprints of their political masters in Delhi, BJP. The
What's
TV,
making you say that?
wait, let me explain. TVK is short of majority of the in
No,
assembly.
I
Only
get it,
18.
but why are you saying? I mean, when you are making the allegation that they are intolerant to criticism and they're stifling voice, as the opposition, the principal opposition in Tamil Nadu, what's making you say that?
Because every day in Tamil Nadu, people are getting arrested over very small voice of dissent for genuine issues, for the livelihood issues.
Like?
People are getting arrested. You can see our DMK legal team, our legal wing has been working overtime, full time, securing bail for people. You can see in the media, very youth Gen Z people who voted for Vijay, you are saying, they are getting arrested.
Whom are you
And
talking about? You're talking about the YouTuber.
YouTube, there are a lot of people you can see in the media. Like
No,
I
if
can
you're
put
talking
some.
about Udaynidhi and YouTuber, there's the other side to it as well. Is this a new government testing waters? Is this a government trying to understand what direction to take? Why I'm asking you this is because it's interesting. BJP, that has been at the forefront of many protests for that matter, including black flag protests and I don't know what all protests, they have gone to say, oh yes, there must not be any protests. Students are supposed to be studying. Why join political protests?
Yeah, I think, both our friends have spoken on various political angles. The main thing is, I think the administration, such orders are initiated usually by the bureaucracy and they are judged, assessed by the political leadership and then passed. It is a very important order. And such an order, imagine sending it in written form all over the state, in such explicit form, mentioning potential agitators, all of that. And it is not even a confidential document. Yes, earlier governments issue such orders, but they would be confidential documents. Here, it seems to me that the Vijay government has still not got control of the bureaucracy or they're not able to manage it. How could such an order be issued at all? It is anti-democratic anyway. And if you want to concentrate only on law and order, they should have been amended suitably. That peaceful protests are allowed, but violence will not be tolerated, blah, blah, etc. So therefore, it is two things. What was the education minister doing at such an order? And secondly, what was the department doing? How did they issue such an order? Was it the Home Ministry which started this note, or the Chief Minister's office, or the Education Ministry? Obviously, there was some discussion at some level, but the seriousness of such an outcome was never assessed. So this gives one to wonder when you take orders, there is much thought going into it or not. For example, I believe an order was issued giving every MLA a new car, 75,000 rupees, this unheard of. There was no much discussion. There was no debate about it. Nobody asked, is this correct for a state to spend every month crores of rupees, endless amounts? Therefore, I would say that the government is failing to carefully judge issues, not for the short term, for the long term. And it is definitely still not got used to the fact that it is a government and it is not a political party trying to get into government. This is a very serious lapse, and it shows a lack of judgment or a very bad decision-making process. How can such an order get out without, thinking of all the pros and cons? Even I don't think the BJP government in Delhi has given any such orders in writing anywhere, as far as I know. So this is a serious lapse, and it should be debated within themselves. Why
Right.
they did such a thing? Who initiated it? Who is the advisor? Where is this going?